Hi gang, in this video, once we get to the end, you'll see how I finished sewing up apron number 3. But it's done, so what you're going to see in this video is me cutting these thrifted jeans, sewing them together, the legs. There's the main seam, sewing the legs together. Then you'll see me finishing up the edging. I did most of it without filming it, but it is done. You'll see me develop a mechanical issue with the 401A, so that'll be interesting too, I suppose, maybe. But that's what you're going to see in this video. It's a bit of a longer video, but I hope that you'll derive some good knowledge and fun out of it. And thanks for stopping in, and we'll get started and get this number 3 apron put together and made. Thanks for watching. Hi there, friends. What I'm doing today is I'm tearing apart this pair of jeans, and what I have found really works well for me is cutting along the inside edge of the seams. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut right across the bottom of the yoke here, and then right down the center seam, the crotch seam. And when I come along here, I won't cut on this side, I'll cut on this side. And what you'll find, and what I found, is that having that seam allowance, or that folded seam there, is a very good guide for being able to cut straight across there and straight down there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the yoke and the waistband off, so I'll just be left with this half and that half, and hopefully I can get 28 inches length out of the legs, and that's what I'm going to use to make my third denim apron from. So that's why I'm cutting this apart right now. So I just wanted to give you this little tip about cutting on this side of the seam and this side. Maybe that'll help you out taking your thrifted jeans apart. Enjoy. Now the other thing I want to mention is that on this second apron that I made, the total length from here to here is 24 inches, and I want to extend that, if I can, to 28 inches. If I can get 29 or 30 inches, that would be great. But I'm using pant legs to make these, so usually 27, 28, maybe 29 inches I think is about the longest I can get from the jeans that from the thrifted jeans that I have. So that's the other thing that I am trying to do to improve upon my second apron. The first apron is still, well, I'll never wear the first apron because it was such an elementary experiment, such a learning project, that it's not really all that great to use. It's not very comfortable, to tell you the truth. But this one is a lot more comfortable, except the top part goes down too low. It's kind of just below my bust line, if I can say that. Too close to my solar plexus. So I need this edge to be closer to the top of my chest. Kind of cover over my man boobies or whatever. That's what I'm saying. So there's that too. Now this is a pant leg from an already harvested pair of thrift jeans, and it is actually 27 inches. I had said I would like 28 inches, so it's still about an inch short, but you know, I'll find out today when I finish tearing apart the jeans that I'm dismantling right now, whether I can get 28 or 29 or maybe even 30 inches for length out of it. That would be really great. But we'll see. Now the other thing that I remind myself as I'm cutting these jeans and tearing them apart is, you know, I don't want to get tangled up cutting on the wrong side, and this is the side that I want to cut on, not that side. This is kind of a smoother side because this seam allowance was originally with that, not here. That's why I have that kind of very defined sharp edge, and that's where I want to cut with my scissors, is right down on the inside like that, and it'll just follow along. It's not all that difficult once you get started. It's not difficult at all to stay right on course there, on target there. And that seam is guiding my scissors. It would be really difficult for me to flip over and go that way because of that edge. That's what stops the scissor blade from going over. You can see it doesn't take all that long. It sure is a lot quicker than ripping out stitches, I will say that. So that's how I'm making out now. So I probably want to cut there and maybe there like that. I'll go ahead and do that and we'll see how I make out. There. And I'm going to have plenty of length to make this apron because I measured this leg and it's closer to 40 inches. So I'll definitely be able to get 28 to 30 inches out of it easily. Okay, so here I am again. Now this is the top of the jeans, but it's going to be the bottom of the apron. Down at the bottom of the jeans leg, right down here, that is going to be the top of my apron. I've got the tape measure started there, and going down to this pocket right here is 36 inches. I was hoping to get 29 or 30 inches. I may even go 32 or 33 or 34 and try that. It really doesn't matter at this point because I'm still learning. I'm still making my prototypes. And whatever size it ends up, whatever length from the top of the apron to the bottom of the apron, whatever length that ends up being, that will be what I cut out and then make a stock paper, construction paper template from. And right away the measurement is all there on the template. So I'll continue along. This is my apron that I wear and use. And it's 24 inches from top to bottom and it's too short because it doesn't cover enough of my chest. That's the problem. You can see that easily I'm going to gain, if I go to there, then that's another 13 inches. I don't need another 13 inches on the bottom, but I was hoping to get 30 inches, so that's 24 right to there, so 30 will take me to there. So including seam allowances, I'll go 32 or 33. Then I've got enough cloth denim for my, half inch and a half seam allowance. Because to fold over, to make a protected seam so that everything inside is also protected, so it won't fray, I need at least an inch, right? Half inch, fold over another half inch, maybe even, an inch and a half, so I won't scrimp on the length. Okay, so here's my cut line. This is my 34 inches. Now, just remember that once I get this cut off, that excess cut off, then I'm going to square up there where the crotch was, because it goes on a curve, right? And I want to straighten that out, and I have to do it on this side, at the other side of the crotch as well. So I've got this cut to make, and then at least two more on the length of the legs, and then I'll have my squared piece of thrift denim ready to proceed with the next step of the apron. There's a little bit of a larger view there. There you can see it all laid out. And as I do this, when I'm measuring this stuff and that, I'm constantly flattening it out and making sure that it's flush. I don't want to be measuring. I don't want to be included folded wrinkles in this. I want it to be flat when I measure. But anyway, I'll get that cut and I'll get some more work done. There. So there's my first cut made. I can just take that right off like that and drop it down there. And the next thing I'm going to do is measure up for a straight cut there, and a straight cut along, and a straight cut along there. So that's what I'll be working on next. And then once I get that done, it should be all squared up. So where am I at now? This is where I'm at. That's my apron, number 2 apron, second one I made, and that's how it looks. It goes to there, and I've got enough excess that I'm going to have to probably remove some at the bottom, a little bit anyway. What I've done here, let me move this apron out of the way, for apron number 3, is I've made an inch seam allowance mark there, and I've pinned it together so I can get it over to the iron. And I'm going to have to sew both this piece and that piece together, and that's the seam allowance. Each of them has that 1 inch seam allowance. And I'm going to iron it, and I'm going to end up folding it over ½ inch, so it'll be like, a flat felled seam of some sort, or pretty close to. So that's that's good. The other thing that's good is that this was maybe a little shorter than an inch, but it does down here, but everywhere else it is an inch. But more than likely, this last 2 or 3 inches here is going to come off. That's all going to come off. Because I don't want, I mean, I could have the apron longer, just cut that and even it out and let it go like that. But my main point of reference is the center. And once I get that stitched together, so that I have one whole piece, then I'll take a look at how wide it is and how long it is entirely. I'll get my already existing apron and compare it to what I have and go from there. So I haven't learned a lot of pattern making with paper and pencil or paper and pen, but essentially what we're doing here is we're devising or making our patterns based on what we're building, what we're squaring up, and then calculating with what little knowledge I have about how I want to do it. But I've already done this, and when I'm sewing these two pieces of material together, I want to make sure that this is the flat line, the flat seam allowance that is as straight as possible. And then if it's not straight at the sides, I can just trim it at the sides. Because on the first one, I didn't use that as the point of reference, and when I actually put it all together, there was a ruffle, there was a pinch. I forget what the proper technical sewing term is, it'll come to me later, as soon as I turn the camera off, no doubt. So that's where I'm at now. So I'm going to take this over and to the iron and fold this inch seam allowance in half and the one on there as well. So then the seam allowances will be a ½ inch each, and then I'll fold them into each other and come up with a flat felled seam. That's the plan anyway. Ouch. By golly. So what I've already done is folded that and ironed that 2 or 3 times. That's the inch seam allowance folded to ½ inch. I've also got a blue line on this part, and I'm going to fold it ½ inch on the inch like that. So I'm going to start doing that. So here I am now, and I've got the ironing done, and what I want to do now is turn this one over like that and fold the 2 hems together like that, dovetail them in like that. So that's what I'm going to work and line up right now. I may have to pin it to get it to stay in position. Yeah, it's a little bit like New York City here. They blow their horns all the time, you know. But anyway, enough about the horn blowing in New York City, here in downtown Montreal. You can see what I've done. I've put these 2 pieces lying flat, and I've got the 1/2 inch seam allowance there, and this one here, and then I'm pinning it together. And what I'm going to do is do all this pinning, and then I'm going to have to fold it over one more time to get rid of the unfinished edge, so that the unfinished edge is protected as well. Now, I do want to stress to myself, first of all, that because it's an apron, I have a fair bit of leeway in how I do this. If I end up with a thick seam allowance here, that's not going to be a problem or a negative because it's not a pair of pants, right? It's not. So like I say, I've got a fair bit of leeway, and I'll get this pinned down, and I may even put in a stitch or two before I fold it over again. And then once I get it in the correct position, in the correct iteration, then I'll remove those stitches and stitch it the way it needs to be. The way it needs to be finished. So that's what I'm doing now. And the third apron is coming along, slow but sure. So what I'm going to do this time is fold it over again. I'll take a couple of pins out, fold it over like that, and put the pin back in. Something like that. And like that. So it's good that I'm using the 401, Singer 401A, because it's going to be a fixed seam, which is okay. Maybe I'll put some loops on there and hang them off of there. So I'm just going to go down the whole length like that, doing what I just did in these 1, 2, 3. Take that one out, that one out. There, I got that pin out. So it's a pretty simple process for me. And that's what I'm going to do all the way down with another 2 or 3 pins, and I'm going to press it again and then take it over to the Singer 401A and start sewing it together. So here I go again, and I'm going to do the ironing just to give it a stronger crease. I'm going to leave the pins in till I get over to the sewing machine, and I'm just going to turn it over and back press it as well. They're just like that. So there, I'll take it over to the sewing machine. My favorite new sewing machine, the Singer 401A. Like, I folded this over, so what I'm going to start out doing is just put a couple of stitches in here just to get this end done. And I might even go to the other end and get it done as well. But, you know, when it's all said and done, there's going to be a line of thread there, and then a line of thread there. There's going to be a double row of thread. It'll be this light, kind of light brown or light gray thread that I have right there. The bobbin thread is orange, so we'll see wherever you see orange thread, we'll know that that's the bobbin thread. So that's where I'm at now, and that's what I'm going to do with that. I'll see how this works out with the machine, make sure the machine can handle this thickness, the foot and all that, and I'll carry on from there. So I'll get started. I won't film the whole process, but I will have enough clips in here that you'll be able to kind of flow along and see how the process flowed out. I do like the knee pedal, the knee bar. I'm able to keep both my feet flat on the floor. There, I've locked that up. Okay, let's see what I did here. Let's see what I got. So here's the bottom side, and we can see this brown, light brown thread, gray thread, it's right there. Here's the top, and here's the bobbin thread. And we can pretty much see it all the way down. I want to get to the other end because that's where I stopped early. I'll get lined up for the next part and then I'll show you that. Okay, so I've got it lined up and I'm just going to get started. Can't reach the bobbin thread from here. I should try anyway. Where is it? Can I see it? Golly gee, I can't. Oh well. So it'll be. Back tack. Good enough. Let me see what the damage is this time. So there's a bit of a ruffle or a pucker along there, but it's stitched and it's solid. There's my bobbin thread, that's encouraging. Let me go underneath and look. There's the bobbin starting, the bobbin thread starting. I can trim that off. And so there, it's together and it's solid. This little bit down here is going to get cut off anyway because I'm not going to have that edge hanging down. So that last 2 inches or 2.5 inches is going to be trimmed off, and then I'll have to finish it with edge stitching and the serger or whatever, zigzag and edge stitching or whatever. But it is done and it is tacked down, and we'll see if I'm going to do another bead on top side. So this is where I'm going to have to do the other row of stitching right along here. And I may do it this way so I can see the seam, because it's just too difficult for me. I just don't have the experience for the pins and all that. If I do it that way, I can see it, and I won't really have any issues until I get down to the part that's going to be cut off. And it's kind of half started there. Don't know if you can see what I'm talking about. Kind of half started there because I kind of veered over to that point anyway. But I will be coming down here and putting another row all the way along this edge. So I'll get to work doing that. Indeed, starting is always important. It all feels good. It feels nice and flat. Not getting any bunching or puckering. Now I'm getting down to that area that was a bit of a challenge earlier. Okay, we'll go top side on the cloth and see how I made out. I made out all right. Have I got the right? No, I don't. Got the wrong seam. Here we are, the orange thread. Right here and here. So on the outside, it's accurate all the way down. All the way down here, 2 rows. Looking good through there. There's a bit of a pucker there. I double stitched it. I'm going to leave that as it is for now. It's awful close to the bottom. And there is thread all the way down. And I ended up finishing down there. So if I do make any alterations, there's not going to be a lot. There's that one little bit where I could rip it out and do it again. So that's the outside, the top side. Where is it? Here it is here. I'm going to leave it for now. Now let's go on the other side, bottom side, and see how I made out with that. And I'll make sure I've got the right seam. I do, because I can see my light gray thread. And that's looking very nice all the way. Still looking very nice. Still looking very nice. Until we get to the problem child area, which is kind of down here, but it's still good. Like there's still thread, and it's done. So I am going to get that out right now. I'm going to rip it out right now. Beautiful. Let's see the other side. The other side is fine. It looks great. So I'm going to let that stay just like that. So here I am with apron number 2. This is where it ends, you can see. And I've made a chalk line here, a little couple of yellow marks. And that takes me down to 32 inches. I'd like to make this apron that long. So I'll just put that mark there for now because I have another issue, something that I have to do at the top first. Okay, so there's something I told you that I have to do at the top first. So I'll take apron number 2 off. That's the top. And this is apron number 3. And before I do anything at the bottom, I'm going to make the top nice and straight. It's not a big deal, but it's a deal. And it's not going to be, you know, a lot of this is going to come off. So it's going to be this area here, but I'll just do the whole thing, make it nice and straight, and then I'll go from there. Hi there, I'm back with you. And so here I've got apron number 2 sitting on top of apron number 3. I've got my red Sharpie, and I'm just going to make the line for where I have to cut off the armholes, the strap holes. So that's what I'm doing now. Just like that. Understanding that this is not going to be a cut line, that's going to be a measuring line, and I'm going to go an inch this way so that I have a seam allowance to work with. Yeah, that's what I'm... So I've got my measuring gauge here, and I'm just marking an inch seam allowance, and then this will be my cut mark, not this. And then I'm going to make one on the other side just like that as well. Right over there. As you can see, I've got the curve ruler there. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. So now I'm going to cut this one off, and then I'm going to cut the bottom off, and then I'm going to edge stitch and zigzag, or edge stitch and serge all the way around. There. Now I'm going to cut the bottom off, and then like I said, I'll edge stitch and serge all the way around, or edge stitch and zigzag all the way around. So here's my mark. So I line it up to the mark, and then what I do is I use this side of the square, and I line it up to a line on the mat, on the cutting board. So if it's square here, then it's square here. Now I'm ready to make my bottom cut, and what I've already done is I've cut through it with the scissors through that quadruple seam, because that's a tough one. That's a toughie. Beautiful. Now I'm ready to edge stitch all the way around, and then zigzag or serge. I'll probably zigzag. So it's coming along. I got the whole apron edge stitched and zigzagged, and you can see that I've got the edges finished along here across the top as well, right up here. But I still have to finish this side and this edge all the way along. You can see the straight stitching and the zigzag down there as well. So once I get this side and that side done, all the edge stitching and zigzagging will be done, and the apron will be complete except for the neck strap and the waist strap, which I won't put on in this video. I'll be doing another video making apron number 4, and I'll be making both sets of straps, neck straps and waist straps, when I do that video. Alrighty, I'm ready to start sewing this seam allowance now. And as I work, I'm watching right here in this little divot there, that little edge there. That's where I'm keeping the edge of the cloth. So it's a really close edge stitch. Well, howdy doody that, eh? Smooth as silk. Yes, sirree, folks, my denim dreams are coming true. Indeedy do. Now I'm going to lay a line of thread stitching right down here, but where I'm going to be watching is this edge here is on one of the marking lines on the throat plate right there. So there we go, that's what we got on that edge there. Looks nice, huh? Pretty straight. I'm pleased with that. For a rookie, I do okay. Are you a new sewer as well, or do you have loads of experience? Doesn't matter, we all start where we start, don't we? Well, I tried going through a very thick quadruple seam, and I've developed an issue with this 401. It stopped working. I think actually that it may be an issue or problem over here where you see me poking down there. That's where the motor gear goes onto the hand wheel gear teeth. And I think there may be an issue in there. But I'm going to look at that later. But for now, I'm going to go to the 4432 and finish up this video using that. So now I know that this tank cannot go through the quadruple double seam allowance. You know, like something that is folded over 4 to 6 times. And maybe it was that I tried to go through too quickly, but I won't do that again. I had thought when I originally looked at it that I would stop when I got to that seam and, you know, cut the thread, like back tack, close up the thread, lock up the thread, and then get to the other side of the seam and start again, lock up, and then continue. And that's what I should have done. So I've really cost myself a little bit of frustration. And it's nice to do restorations, I enjoy them, but I don't enjoy them under these circumstances necessarily. So off to the 4432 we go. Okay, here I am, ready to get back in business. And I'm going to be a little more judicious when it comes to double or quadruple foldovers. But anyway, having said that, let me get started here and lock this up. Being very conservative in the way I do that. Let me make sure I'm straight stitch. Cool, here we go. And that's about as far as I'm going to go back because there was a little bit of resistance from that quadruple fold over. So we'll continue going, moving forward. Now I'm coming up to like a quadruple seam, so I'm just going to go all the way, but I'm not going to go through it. I'm going to stop, back tack, and then start again. Cut the thread and then start again. Well, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll keep going. We'll see how we do with this one. I'm telling you, those Singer heavy-duty machines, this 4432, it's a goer, it's a doer. Here we come to another thick seam. I'm just hand bombing it there. There, we're through. There we go, we're done. So here we are, and there's my apron with no straps. No neck strap, right, which will go right there, one there, and then no waist strap, but everything is done. The edges are all doubled over and protected, seams are all protected, and I got it together. So that's going to be apron number 3, and my next project is to start to do apron number 4. And as always, if you can, please subscribe and like. I'd appreciate the help for the channel. And I want you to have fun and stay safe. That's first and foremost. And come on back again real soon. Thanks again. Adios, amigos.